Welcome, Carlee.
Hey, hey.
Hey. So happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be here. This is awesome. What you're doing is really cool. So I've
Yeah.
enjoyed watching all the clips of some of the episodes and some of them full episodes. So
It gets silly. But I think
yeah.
that's like kind of fun. It's not like slick, it's just like people. We're not like Joe Rogan over here. Or like something else gross. um, but yeah, yeah, it's super nice for me. I get to talk to like the most interesting women every day. Like
Yeah.
everybody that I've talked to is like doing so many different cool things, and yeah, that sounds like very canned, but it's true. Like lots of multidisciplinary talents. So I'm having so much fun.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
That's
tell us.
that's really that's really cool that it's a reality. It's not canned. It's cool that it's genuine that so many women are doing really cool stuff.
Yeah, and like there's no edits either. I just record it and stick it on the internet. And so it's just I don't want this to be hard for me.
Right.
So
I don't
um
even know how to video edit, so I totally get that.
I made like a weird series once about like women in history, and I was very bad at it. So it's better if I just don't do anything. But
Well, this is awesome on its own.
yeah, yeah, because you girls are awesome. So you make it awesome and easy. So tell everybody who you are, what you do.
I am Carlee Jackson. I am currently the vocalist of Crossed Hearts, which is an Atlanta-based heavy metal band. I'm a session singer. I've got my own solo project coming out. Um, Pretty spiritual woo-woo person, but just living life on my own terms, and yeah.
Cool. Yeah. And you're like pretty I think pretty pro at astrology, but I don't know like what levels there are to that either. But I think you're good at it. So, can we get our little treat, our little tarot reading for all the rock
Oh
goddesses?
yeah. So yes, I did pull a card. I pulled it from my one of my oracle deck. It's a messenger oracle deck, which is awesome because it's pretty straightforward in its symbolism and what everything looks like. And I've really enjoyed this as like little for bonus readings with just like Rider Waite. And the one I pulled for us in general is Hear the Ancient Ones. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, wow. I feel like that. I mean, I don't know exactly what it means, but just like,
Well, I mean, it's pretty straightforward, but to elaborate, it when we are in times of doubt and darkness, decision making, or just in a state of gratitude and thankfulness for a day, we can always turn to whatever it is that we use as a modality of power within ourselves. So it could be our ancestors, it could be ascended masters, deities, etc. But these are all things that we can tap into any of that. And then when it comes down to, it's a new moon period. When it comes down to the things that we're going to move forward and do, consulting this energy can put us in such a place of power, even maybe when we don't feel it physically on this earth. So I think it's great for um, this interview and just over the overall energy of the work that you're doing with Joe's Rock Goddesses. I think that it's really cool that we can tap into ancient wisdom to help propel us forward because, as you know, we are in such a different state with how powerful women are and how prevalent they are and how in the driver's seat they're not even in the front seat, they're in the driver's seat, which is really cool.
yeah, totally. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Um, I was talking to Gita Gash yesterday, and she works with Karen Black, who is the authoress of the phrase "the future is female." So
Mm,
it's like just such a great flow from that. And then
that's awesome.
you and I are matching with our warlock decor. Yes, yes, here we are.
Got my
Synchronicity.
Leanne.
We were
I've
singing.
got my uh Alita Ford shirt on.
Yeah, looks great on you. That looks good. Oh man. All right. So let's get into the questions. So
Let's do it.
when did you first realize you loved rock music and you wanted to create more of it?
It actually was at a pretty young age. I had a pretty standard kind of country suburb life, had working parents. So, age 11, 12 is when I was able to stay at home by myself in the summers. So I would watch, uh, VH1 and MTV. And my older brother's like very into rock and stuff like that. So I don't know, I just started watching like all the Ozzy videos and the Tesla videos. I was like, dang, this is cool. um I want to say that that's like kind of what turned me on to wanting to be a part of performance, whatever that was. I was already very involved in music in general, so actively playing music, like I play piano, play guitar, I've always sang. So I want to say that that was the catalyst of that. I mean, just like, visuals in the 80s going into the 90s was such a huge thing in music video. So they really made it look really dang cool. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tesla, so good. Froggy. Um, and yeah, oh, I'm so glad that music video culture was born like in time for us to watch it on TV and have
How
so
cool,
much.
right?
Yeah.
Um, I want to say the thing that made me realize that, like, oh, I can do that too. Because
Mm.
I never really considered myself singing for heavy metal in general until I got a little bit older. And there is a demo of it's like ex detente stuff, but it's a band called Catalepsy, and there's a song called Evil Within. And that is the song that I've met maybe one or two people that have heard that song, and I'm not trying to sound like, oh, I'm so obscure. I just found it on one of my like rabbit holes of YouTube searching. But
Mm-hmm.
that's the song that I found, and I was like, wow, like those vocals are really wicked. And
Mm.
from there, I found like Hellion and like all this really cool stuff. And it was a really good template for me to be like, oh, this is totally doable. Let me dive into it. So,
That's amazing. I will have to find that song and I'll put it in the show notes so everybody has a
oh,
great
okay.
reference.
I can link it to you as well. It can be a bit
Excellent.
tricky to find.
Excellent.
Hmm.
Okay. And well, speaking of music videos, you've got lyric videos, music videos,
Yeah.
there. Let's so like just at the end of last year, you had Hotfoot lyric video come out.
Yeah. That was something that came out. Someone from the record label on Church Recordings is responsible of for doing all the graphics for stuff like that. So that came out, but that other music video that we have, like, talk about an experience. Some of our band members work in film,
Okay.
so we were able. I don't know if you knew, but like Atlanta is like the film hub. So like almost everyone you meet here is an actor or in film, like working behind the cameras. But what an experience. I mean, state of the art everything.
Wow.
Um, I I don't even know how we got so lucky to do that, but it was really cool, and it's very inspired by like the giallo films, Italian horror.
Mhm.
So that
Okay.
that was very much the influence of that, which was really cool because the whole premise of it was that I had someone that was hunting me, I guess, and I'm just kind of running away from them the whole time. I'm really downplaying it, but you guys can watch it.
Yeah, it's very theatrical and cinematic. And it has like a cool plotline intro. It's a very elaborate music video for like what you see bands doing right now. It's a really cool one.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, absolutely. That was like it's very professional. It's more creative than a lot of stuff I've seen in a long time. Um,
Appreciate
so
that.
yeah, so you're on the label Church Recordings. How do you like the label?
It's been awesome. We wanted to go with something that was a little bit more just like grassroots, small to start out because we were such a new band.
Hmm.
Um, so that's been really cool. I don't know if what our plans are moving forth,
Mhm.
because we are going to start writing for something new.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like I feel like I'm writing for like three different projects right now. So there's a lot going on up here.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah, it's been really cool. We played Frozen in Time last year, which is Trevor's festival out in Fresno, California, which was really
Mhm.
cool.
Mhm.
That was a really good time.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Oh, brain fart. Fresno. That's June 22nd this year, and
Mm.
I kind of forgot what I was gonna say about it, but I got excited for like a half a second. Um, but yeah, so do you think you're gonna do your solo work with church recordings, or are you gonna shop around?
No, my solo work is very like rock pop, so like a la Pat Benatar, stuff like that.
Oh,
So
okay.
um
Huh.
I'm really almost like pivoting into a different genre with that. So I'd be very surprised if that project got invited to play anything that uh any of the heavy metal festivals or anything like that. But I'm pivoting into a little bit more of a commercial based songwriting with that. So it's a collection of songs that I've written by
Mhm.
myself. Um, all that's left to do is the vocals now. So I am in the selection of kind of like choosing exactly where I want to record and what type of experience I'm wanting from it. So it's
Mm.
do I want to work more with a producer based atmosphere, or do I want to self produce and, just record with somebody who can push play and record, and I can
Mhm.
build it that way. So I'm in the middle of deciding exactly how I want to tackle that. So, but in the next 4 or 5 months, I'm definitely want to have that, intend to have that under my belt. So you guys will see it.
Oh my gosh, that is super exciting. I can't wait to hear your solo stuff. I think a lot of metalheads have a wide range of taste in music, so I'm
Oh,
sure,
they do.
yeah, I'm sure you're gonna get a lot of crossover from your previous work. And you have sung for a couple bands before Crossed Hearts as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Um, I was in a heavy metal band in Chicago. I lived in Chicago for a long time,
hmm,
um, called Relentless, and we did a lot of cool stuff. It was a little short lived. We were all really young, but we ended up doing this massive European tour, and we played festivals over there. We played Headbangers Open Air. We played Metal Magic. That was really cool.
amazing.
So a lot of traction for such a young band, and I could probably say the same for Crossed Hearts a little bit too. For being as young as we are, we've gotten a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, you guys had a little photo feature in Easy Rider, right?
Yes,
You
yes, yes, we did. We had played. There's a really cool motorcycle rally that happens here called the Grundle Run. I want to say it's called the Grundle Run, but it's in a place called Ellijay, Georgia, and we played that, and that was a rowdy. That was a really rowdy time.
all right. Sounds like fun. Heavy metal motorcycles. Sounds like a mess in a
I
good
mean,
way.
it can't go wrong, right? Nothing can go wrong.
Yeah. Wrong is right in those kinds of places. So, yeah, and then did you also sing for Souls of Charon?
That was a name of one of our albums in the
Oh,
last.
okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
in the from Relentless. Yeah, that was the name of our first album, I want to say.
it'd be good if I could read my own handwriting in my notes.
No, it's okay. It's I mean, it I haven't looked at the I guess the website where it kind of Do or Die Recordings, which was Tim Pearson's little record label. I think it was a record label. I'm not trying to like I don't want to misquote it, but
Right.
he was doing Do or Die Records, and he self-released a lot of really cool stuff on that, including Relentless. So I want to say that was our first record we put out with that.
That's cool. How old were you when you got started with that band?
24,
What? 24? Okay. Yeah, getting started
24
early.
ish. I
Oh,
want to say, yeah.
yeah, so you were younger than Pat Benatar when she started. You were certainly younger than Debbie Harry. You were younger than when Tina Turner went solo. Tina Turner didn't get her first Grammy until she was 44. And there's just like
Amen.
a whole list of people. So
Mm.
you started young.
I
And
did start I did start a little young, and I have trouble reminding myself of that sometimes because, we can be our toughest and harshest critics
also
about
like
where we are and where we want to go and all that.
there's a message out there as well. Like I always say, everybody gets messages from society that are out of place. And one that women get is that we expire.
Mm.
Like after we are not like sexually appealing, we are dead. Or we have to become like a nurse or something. It's like you start as like a sexual object before you're ready when you're like 12, and then you turn into like, can I mate with her? And then you
Mhm.
turn into, take care of me, mommy. And so it's just like very scary, um to be a woman and like trying to do something that you're told is like a young woman's gig. And you're like, well, what is a young woman and when is that over for me? And like it's
Yeah.
it's like
It
really deep and
it
weird.
and that is a topic that I, of course, have explored. I feel like we all explore it in our mind. Like if you're not 25 anymore, which like I'm in my 30s now, which I really truly don't consider old.
Hmm.
You mentioned a lot of prolific artists who didn't get their start until later in life, and I feel like that brings a lot of life into my own gumption and my own velocity to keep moving forward. Not that I'm like old by any means, but
No, yeah.
it kind of reminds me of I don't know if you've ever heard of the Madonna horror complex.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, of course you have. So it kind of it kind of like is on the peripheral of like what we're talking about, where like not even so much like in the media, but like seen in our communities and in our homes and our relationships, how if you're with someone who isn't embodying the balance of the divine feminine and the divine masculine, we can very much end up in situations where we are perceived that way.
Yeah, it's such a pain in the butt. It's just in my way.
Oh well, like
Yeah.
I mean, I'm choosing to feel great about myself in a
Yeah.
story. So
Yeah, and I don't know, like my reality, like I don't know, maybe like close to 2 years ago, I decided to just only listen to female fronted bands,
wow, okay.
historically and contemporary. And so I
Wow.
just don't live in a world where heavy metal is sung by men anymore.
What a world we live in where that is a possibility.
I just went ahead and said, I'm changing this reality. This is my new one. In
That's awesome.
my reality, girls make heavy metal, and that's it. I mean, of course, all these bands do have their male members. Oh, and another inspirational, myth busting woman would be Lorraine Lewis, singer of Vixen. She
Oh
didn't
yeah.
she didn't release her first stuff till she was in her 30s. Oh, she's such a sweetheart. Gosh.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
Oh man.
She's so approachable too. She's like
She's
totally.
a huge inspiration to me for my not just my solo stuff, but um a new another new project that I'm going to work on. I'm definitely like leaning into Vixen type stuff. So sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt you, but yeah, like
No,
I love her so
inter-
much.
yeah, interrupt away, honestly. So actually Vixen, the Hawaiian Vixen now, I think that's the artist that Crossed Hearts sounds the most like musically and vocally. Es-
Wow, okay. Awesome.
Especially the song Escape the Night, if you know that one. I'll put this in the show notes as well.
Put it in
Um
there.
yeah, because I know a lot of people aren't going to know who the Hawaiian Vixen is. They're only going to know the LA Vixen. So,
Right, of course.
but for the people who don't know, Hawaiian Vixen, it's metal and it's a little bit like 60s vocals in metal. It's a little bit of like that twisting, oh, all kinds of things that she does that are like distinctively 60s.
So
So,
like maybe like the what is that the girl who sings Venus, right? Shocking Blue?
oh yeah, okay, so I would say kind of like Shocking Blue, or when Jinx Dawson would do stuff that was like,
Mhm.
like I don't know, Jinx Dawson released a lot of stuff that was much more gospel influenced, that's
Hmm.
like less well known. And so it's kind of like those gospely Jinx moments in a heavy metal thing, but the voice sounds more like yours and the
Wow.
lyrics
Okay.
sound like yours. Yeah, so
Awesome.
yeah, something to check out. Oh, another one that if people are like putting together a playlist today, um, Hellcats would fit with you. If I was going to do a lineup for a tour, it'd be Cross Tarts,
Hellcat.
Flying Vixen, and Hellcats. Yeah, you
That's
guys
awesome.
make a nice lineup. Or
That would be really cool.
compilation CD or something like that. Um, yeah, so back to the questions. Okay, well, if you could play a world tour with any three bands alive today, who would you choose? And what city would you like to play most of all?
Oh boy. That's actually a hard question because there's so many you would want to for so many different reasons, but to completely just like baseline, absolutely number one, Scorpions. They're one of my favorite bands of all time. So like doing something like that, like uh, I love that. Um Lee Aaron is touring again. I mean, a Lee Aaron tour, come on, how fun would that be?
So,
Um and then also what I have to say, even though it is a new manifestation of it, but with their vocalist, but Pagan Altar. So there are, I'm a huge Terry Jones fan, so I am just absolutely floored by that band, and a lot of their music has gotten me through very strange parts of my life, and
hmm.
their new that new singer they have, Brendan. I mean, he's just fabulous. He also sings for Summerlin's, and then I don't know if you've checked
Oh,
out Savage Oath, but he's
oh,
one hell of a vocalist, and he really, gosh, he does it. It is such an ode to Terry when he sings, and I really enjoyed seeing them live at this past Mass Destruction, which is a fest that goes on in Atlanta.
aha,
Um,
okay.
that Amos Rifkin puts on, who's in Cross Hearts. Uh, they were absolutely incredible. That was my first time being able to see them because so many times I've tried to see them, they either canceled or then eventually Terry died. And so to really see it and hear these songs live, but then not only to see like Brendan do it justice the way he did was so moving. And it was really great to see it in an intimate space because I'd seen it at Hell's Heroes too. But I would say those three. Lee Aaron, because it's like fun and 80s. I'm very inspired by the 80s, not only rock music, but the culture of it just in general.
Mhm.
Especially like European 80s culture. Um, Scorpions, Pagan Altar, any city, probably like really cool Japanese cities. I feel like that would be, yeah, really cool.
Nice. That is really cool. Japanese cities. Oh man, I feel like my 80s. Oh my God, like a place in the 80s. Since you brought up like European 80s, I feel like I would want to do like Miami in the 80s.
Oh,
It would be the
yes.
best. I'd be out there in my roller skates with my big headphones.
Yeah. It's
Like,
like any coastal town in the United States, but then like also like my fever dream is like I don't know, it's like 1981 and I'm in like Milan dancing to Italo
oh,
disco. Like that's
oh.
because I have such a I love the aesthetic of the 80s, like all the way down to editorial looks. Like
Mm.
I'm absolutely obsessed. I can give you a tour of my home, but my home is a time capsule. I've been very meticulous about that. My room is kind of the only one where I have like my band posters, and
Mhm.
Nick and I have a music room on the other side of the house, but the rest of it is very much like fever dream Miami Coke Lord 80s house. So
That's like so much fun. And yeah, oh, so Nick he just played guitar with Coven, right?
he did. Yeah, he went on the last tour with them.
Cool. I saw him.
Yeah, he said,
Didn't know he was your
"Oh,
guy, and so I
yeah.
otherwise I would be like, "Hey, you're Carly's pet man." But
Yeah, he's He said it was awesome. So lots of stories from the road with that. Maybe you'll have to do an interview with Nick specifically about touring with Kevin.
Yeah, I was thinking I could have a couple guys on the channel if they were like super cool and worked with girls in music so that we can encourage a little bit of that. Because I did have actually some all male bands ask if they could be on the channel, and I was like, well, that's not really what this one
No,
does.
no, that would be cool. And he has a lot of experience with that because, he is in Savage Master. He
Okay,
toured
that's
with Coven. And then we're starting our own project. So he'll be working with another female vocalist. So
oh, that makes sense. Okay, because I was gonna ask, you play a lot of shows with Savage Master, I noticed.
we did. Well, we did a tour with him. So
Okay, all right, that makes
hmm
sense. Um, so, um, looking back on everything, what was a big decision you made that turned out to be a great choice?
I leaving Chicago was really bittersweet for me because I absolutely adored that city. I felt like a huge part of who I was, who I developed into, was attributed to living city-centric life. I never lived in the burbs or anything like that. Like I lived directly in the center of the city for almost 10 years. Um, Leaving there, like I said, it was very bittersweet. Um, but I knew that I needed to do something different. And I'm careful to say doing more. I wanted to do something more. It was more of I want to do something different. I want to challenge myself. I kind of we all hold pain within ourselves of different situations that we've gone through in our lives, and I really wanted to set out to understand my pain. And
Hmm.
I feel like in order to have done that, I needed to extract who I'd become here to go back to who I was, where that pain originally came
Hmm.
from. So I went back to the Southeast because I actually am born and raised in Alabama, believe it or not. But I really set out to understand that pain. And then I ended up moving out to California for a while too. A friend of mine had like a little Airbnb business out in Joshua Tree, California. So I was living out in the desert, which is a wild experience. Um, but I had a crazy intuitive hunch to come back east. And there's a lot of things that have come full circle from those two very hard decisions I made from doing that, that has delivered me into making way more music,
Hmm.
um, continuing on a very deep healing journey of just karmic life cycles, current life cycles, patterns, etc. Just that, that journey that we will perpetually be on until we leave this realm. Um, they were, like I said, very hard decisions because it seemed like, why would I pivot away from when I had everything here for me?
Hmm.
To go to where seeming like I had nothing for me. And like I said, I had many full circle moments that I'm really grateful for. But I want to say doing that because it's led me into getting more session work. I do session singing, um, the band stuff. I bought a house here. Um,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah.
it's a big
It's
deal.
oh Lord, was it? Yeah. But it like, yeah, just like delivering me into the arms of what maybe at the time I didn't know exactly what I needed. And that
Hmm.
it's turned out to be huge blocks in the foundation of the life that I'm building now and will continue to build. So, you know, I would say those two, leaving California and leaving Chicago.
Wow, that's
Pretty
amazing.
big.
Changing your environment is the surest way to test your values. You
Oh,
find out what really sticks with you and what you let go of when you move a lot. And
yeah.
that's really
That's a good way to put it. I like that.
Yeah, I've lived in Turkey and Sweden and Seattle and Philadelphia. This is my coming home era. I'm back in Philadelphia. Um, but itching for something new. I'm ready to get tested again.
Really?
Yeah, I'm ready to get grilled
Let's
again.
move to Europe together. It'll be fun.
Well, I did do my immigration
Yeah?
thing. Yeah, I went to the embassy in DC February 1st. So now just waiting.
Nice. Just waiting.
Just waiting. See what happens next. Um, we'll
I'll
see.
meet you over there. We'll have a good time. We'll find an Disco DJ somewhere in Sweden and stumble in at 2 a.m. and dance the night away.
Yeah, we'll just pretend it's still the um yeah, so that's such a great answer. I like want to keep talking about it, but I'm not even sure what question I want to ask. Maybe what about this? How about when you moved, what values did stick with you? What did you find mattered? You know, like for example, like when I moved um, from Philadelphia to Seattle. Philadelphia is way, way, way more traditional in a lot of ways than Seattle is.
Yes.
And so um, it was just like there were all these things I was challenged by. One of them was the reticence, the reserve of people socially in Seattle. That's
Oh
very
yeah.
different from
The
Philadelphia because
Seattle Freeze. I actually lived there
oh,
very briefly
yeah.
years ago. I
Mhm.
lived there for like maybe almost a year. This was God, I don't even know what year it was, but I experienced the same thing when I was there. And being at such a young age, then I definitely took it very personally. I was like, no one likes me
I
here.
already had a group of friends out there, so I was like, and I also moved there for grad school, so I was really busy with grad school. And
Okay.
I worked like crazy, and then I had a group of friends. But that wasn't the issue. It was like when I would go to a show in Seattle, I wanted to scream because that's what we do in Philly. I'm sure, you know, you can ask your man. We were screaming. And so, like, if you start screaming at a show in Seattle, people hate you. So
I
I
remember
just
going I remember going to like a punk and black metal show when I was there at a punk house, and people were sitting down in the basement of this punk house, and I was like, "What is going on?"
I know. So what a value that I took from Philadelphia to Seattle that I learned still mattered to me when I got there. Like I did come to understand like why people behaved that way. It was like a lot smoother socially to be more reserved. But like
Mm,
the rambunctiousness of Philadelphia is like being alive and having
mhm.
fun. And so I learned that was actually like important to me. Um, like I want that in my life. So what's something that you discovered was like a value that you wanted to keep as you were moving?
I would say if I wanted to chalk it up to something geographically about myself, I guess like, at the core of who I am a Southerner, so which I feel like Southerners are very warm people to begin with. Kind of keeping that authentic and warmness about myself, but something that I've carried is an affirmation to myself at anywhere that I've go, especially when making these hard decisions. um Speaking of hearing the ancient ones, um is we ourselves are the magic wherever we are. Now, geographical placement can have such an impact on where we are, what we're doing, how we're feeling. There's astrocartography. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, which
Mhm.
goes completely deeper into it. Um, but at the end of the day, us as beings, we are the magic. We create the magic for ourselves. And I want to say that that is what I really, really held on to when making these moves that at times seemed silly, and I was had a greener pasture mindset or anything weird and icky like that. I was like, no, like I'm the magic. Wherever I go, that's
Mm.
where I'll create it. Like I have that within me. I deserve to feel that way. I have a space for that. So I want to say that's really what I've hung on to. And if I were to go anywhere else, I would carry that with me. And thank wherever I was for what it did for me and then move forward with that. And then also, I guess kind of cloaked in that southern warmness, because I feel like when I'm my best self, I'm silly and I'm warm and I'm loving and I'm very embracing. And when we can extend that to ourselves as well as other people, but when we focusing on self, giving it to ourselves, I feel like that's such an elixir in very sticky spots when we get, whether it be we're moving or whatever.
Well, yeah, crystal clear what you're saying. Like it's kind of like the part of like the young woman's journey to that you fall in love with the poet, and then the poet falls away, and you realize all those projections of poetry came from within you, and you are the poet whom you had sought. And so it
Mm,
sounds like that's something that you found as you moved, or at least that's I don't know.
no, absolutely. That is a great analogy. It's very much that. Um, I guess it could also be depicted as, I think I read a quote one time that said, like, when you fall in love with someone, you're not only falling in love with that person, but the reason why you can love someone so much is because they have provided a safe space for you to love yourself as
I thought
well.
you were gonna say they had a really big dick. Just kidding.
There's also that, I guess, like um, but yeah, I feel like that can, if you're looking into the deeper meaning of relationships, with friendships, lovers, etc., I feel like the reflection, because the people that we meet and what we do are, after all, reflections of ourselves. So
Well, absolutely true. Sorry, my joke was stupid,
no,
but
it's okay. I just wasn't expecting it. It's welcome.
it was there, it just didn't land.
It's yeah. No, it landed. It landed. I didn't want to say anything lewd on camera.
Oh, okay. Well, you are a lady.
I don't
Um,
want to embarrass anyone. So
so well, a Romanian girl once told me you should never talk about those things because you don't want to let anybody know. So, the yeah, but where you were going with that was really deep and spiritual and really pretty. Uh, yeah, and I think another way to think about it is like you can move into any apartment or house, and it's you moving into it. And if you paint the walls sky blue and fill it with tulips, it really doesn't matter what house it is because it's like you're building the house in a way.
right,
Like
exactly.
if you look for beautiful things are what you're gonna find. Um, so if your music were a movie soundtrack, oh yeah, we did skip that one. What would the movie be about?
I think that the movie would be about a girl in the 80s, of course, um, kind of like going through life. Again, going back to like the imagery used in 80s and early 90s, videos, media, everything. It's such a rose tinted lens to look through. Everything seems so picturesque, grandiose, so dramatic. So I feel like a girl just going through life, um, like having a really great time, but also just experiencing life, because um, I feel like the human experience is just as much a part of the spiritual path as the deep shadow work and everything is. But depicting the human experience of just relishing in the time, relishing in crazy love affairs, and listening to cool music, and being into pop and being into rock and dressing differently and driving cool cars and just living the most picturesque life, because I feel that's what the 80s mixed media really gave us, was how large life actually is. I'd say that.
I love that. So it's sort of like an 80s montage of all the like best parts and crossed hearts is playing through the movie.
Yeah.
Like is
Yeah.
there what's like the drama point? Does she like discover herself, what does this girl do?
Um, I guess it would depend on which part of my music we're talking about. If it's cross heart stuff, I'd say that she definitely like is a part of like a street gang, and so she has like a little bit of a gang behind her, and that very much like backs her up in seedy endeavors that happen on the cold mean streets. The streets are tough, so am I. Kind of vibe. If it's my rock pop project, very much like what I was mentioning, like, a girl in a convertible, like, woo, um, and then, yeah, I think it would just come down to like which of my music we'd be applying.
Okay, okay.
So
Well, that makes me more excited for the solo stuff. I want to be a girl in a convertible.
who
I want to be
doesn't?
a girl in a convertible. So, if you could add any three albums to your vinyl collection, which ones would they be?
This was a hard one for me because I feel like, you know, because, we have vast taste in music. Um, I'm always on the lookout for any really cool old 45s of anything Italo disco, anything rock poppy from Italy, especially.
Hmm.
Um, I'm always kind of looking for something like that. Anything of the more kind of like obscure Japanese stuff, like Japan X.
Okay.
I've found a couple of Magnesium records in the wild, which is really cool and special. I don't know if you know who Magnesium is. Um, but I'd say stuff like that. Yeah, like obscure Japanese vinyls of like old heavy metal. I don't really have any specifics because I don't know, I've never had that like truffle hunting nose, if you will, of like vinyls. Like I of course own a hefty amount of them. But I'm so silly in my stuff. Like I always cool movie soundtracks too from like my favorite 80s movies and stuff. So I'd say that I have a little bit more of a pop culture tendency of just like a certain era
Mhm.
rather than like I'm looking for the original pressing of like, like
Oh, that's so good.
cool, but
Yeah. I I like that it also sounds like you look like let them come to you in the wild. You're not like on Discogs, like shopping, you know?
no, I'm really not. I had a Discogs account for a while and then like my shopping cart got unbelievable and I was like this is ridiculous and so I just deleted my account.
I understand. Yeah. I really should do some shopping on there though because I need it for this game that I play with everybody.
Treat yourself.
Hmm?
I said treat yourself.
I always be treating myself. That's a problem. I need somebody else to treat me.
That's funny.
Woohoo! So then if you could be on the lineup of any upcoming festival, which would you choose?
Um, I think that like I would love to play Up the Hammers in Greece because like Greece is just like I don't know if you saw any of the recent footage of that festival, but it is packed. If I'm doing stuff in the heavy metal vein, like I think anything of the Keep It True variety, obviously Hell's Heroes. I'm sure I'm not the only one to have mentioned that.
I think you are the first person to say that that was one that you wanted to play. People have said
Yeah,
all.
it's the ultimate homie hangout. And then the headliners they're getting are crazy. So it would be really cool to say like, oh, I technically shared the stage with this band or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, but also just play in front of such a large crowd like that. I mean, that's one of the largest, um, most well attended, I want to say, happening right now. So as an artist, of course, like you want to be a part of that. Um, For my rock pop project, kind of anywhere. I don't know, like that's such a different market. And then for the new band, probably like those like those really funny festivals that like happen in like the Florida Keys that are like a la
Ooh.
Monsters of Rock, but they're like
Yeah.
happening now. Like for some reason, so they'll put some new bands
Hmm.
on those. And
Yeah.
I think something like that would be really cool because I am looking to kind of go, I mean, not even looking, but like intend and I'm writing that's like a lot more like Jakey Lee Aussie era music. So
Hmm. I mean, if I had like the money laying around to go on one of those cruises, I totally would. And also,
it's
I love
fun,
the
right?
Florida Keys. I love the Florida Keys. Like jet skiing from floating bar to floating bar in a hot pink bikini. That's how I want to live in heaven. So,
I think we're both beach people. So yeah.
yeah, we're just 1980s Florida Keys beach bunnies. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So,
That sounds great.
with the nails, we got the acrylic nails, like what else we
We
need?
both have French, by the way, right now, right?
Yes.
Oh.
I love this show. And
uh,
fuck all those other metal channels. They ain't never talking about manicures. So
no, they're not. It's very important too.
I know I can't get through entire interviews on a lot of other channels because it's just like I don't know what the guys are doing. I don't know. Never mind. Anyway, so just that like, what is a
No, I get it.
performance memory that you will never forget?
So on this question, did you mean like my own performance or me viewing a performance I really loved?
It really could be either one. I do invite you to talk about something about yourself, though.
Ah, okay. I want to say one of the coolest moments was actually with my previous heavy metal band, Relentless. Um, I had never just walked onto a stage with really no expectations except for like, let's just kill the set. But to like look out and see like four deep of people like singing the lyrics back to you, like I did not expect that at all there. So
Oh,
having that experience was really cool. And then Europeans are they have such different energy when their approach and enthusiasm to music and artists and hospitality around it. So, and then having like a big like signing thing was really cool. Like and there's like a photographer like taking pictures of me signing records. I was like, who am I right now? Like um that
wow.
was really
That is
cool.
so cool.
But then recently with cross heart stuff, I mean, just like really getting the crowd going on some of the cities that we played at on the tour um, was awesome. Just being able to unleash the energy yourself and then having the crowd be able to kind of like alchemize it with you,
Hmm.
having perhaps maybe more of like a Philly crowd, like being like willing to like really engage with you is always super, super cool.
Honestly, in Philly, like, we'll engage with you under any circumstances. Like, we're there to engage. Like, we do not go to shows to be quiet. Yeah. The good, I mean, actually, every
That's great.
city I've lived in and every city I've seen shows in, the crowd in Philadelphia, and it's known for this. It's not just like my own thoughts, but I did think it before I heard anybody else say it. That this is my favorite city to see Iron Maiden in. Like
Oh, wow. Yeah.
like people are bonkers here in the best possible way.
I
So
think oh, sorry. I think seeing the big old like metal and rock legends in the true blue like working cities on the East Coast, I feel like just automatically boast a different experience. So it's like the Detroits, the Phillies, the
oh,
Buffaloes, the
right.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
true blue there. That's the backbone of America, damn it. So like
I know. Nothing ever changes.
um but I man, I would love for us to go to like a Maiden concert together. We'd probably have a lot of fun.
Let's do it. Let's go see them somewhere like fucking tropical.
Let's do it. I really want to go to that Hawaiian festival just because it's in Hawaii. I'm like, let's go.
Ooh, that sounds so good. I love a destination concert. Speaking of Milan,
It's in
one
October.
time I flew to Milan by myself to see this obscure Italian power metal band called Domine. And
Wow.
there were like 30 people there. Like it was so small, but like I was like, and I was there so early because I was like, I flew to Milan to see this fucking band. I can't not
Yeah.
miss it. So I'm there. Like the bands are just doing sound check. So I'm like, I gotta get out of this room. And I go to the bar. And then Morby, the singer, comes to the bar. And I was like, I'm so sorry to be such a punisher right now. But like, you're Morby. And I flew here from Philadelphia by myself just to see your band. And he was like, oh my God, after the show, come backstage. And they gave me like a drumstick, which I lost. And they gave me a
Ah,
warm beer. I had the drumstick for years. I just lost it recently. I put it in a show and then it like in like an art show and then it got lost. But and I had just finally thought of the coolest way to frame it. But anyway, I love a destination concert and I've like done it a couple times and like yeah, it's super cool to like pick a band that you love and like make a whole like gorgeous vacation out of it and just
I love that. That's
yeah.
amazing. Well, I'm down to do that kind of stuff too. So
Yeah, well, we're gonna talk. Let's see. Oh, are you going to Legions of Metal this year?
I'm actually not. I've got so much recording to do in the spring and into the summer that I'm just kind of skipping out on all the festivals this year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I love that festival and I love Bob, the guy who puts it on. I mean, it's obviously Chicago is very close to my heart. It's always at Reggie's, which is like one of the best venues on the planet, in my opinion. So
Yes, that's so
yeah.
interesting. I was like inquiring with people about that venue because they also host art events, and I got invited to
Mhm.
participate in one, and I was like,
Oh, awesome. Well, you
yeah,
definitely should. That's a great place.
okay, yeah, I think it's in like June, so I'll have to like start making a plan for it because I have like so much stuff in June. But
Are
yeah,
you going to Legions of Metal?
I am. I'm gonna stay with Viper Witch, and I know that Angel Fury is well, Luna of Angel Fury is gonna try to
Yes,
go. Amy's gonna of Solicitor, she's gonna try to go. And then I know for sure that Mean Mistreater is playing.
they are. Yeah.
So
It's
and
I mean it's a great lineup. So who
yeah,
knows? I might have a wild hair and might show up,
I'll get that wild hair because it's gonna
but
be fucking
if
rock
I do,
goddess.
it'll just be a surprise. I'll just show up.
Okay, well, I'll make sure there's a bed for you somewhere, and it'll be a rock goddess party. It'll be outrageous.
Ooh,
So much
that really will be.
hairspray, manicures, everything. So, do you have any new announcements for us?
I mean, I think I pretty much covered it already, like going in the studio for my own stuff,
What's the new
writing
stuff
for a new
called?
project.
What's your new
What'd you
stuff?
say?
What's your new stuff going to be called? Can you tell?
I am still deciding. I'm either going to come up with like a complete stage name or I might just call it Carlee Jackson, you know?
Carlee Jackson is great.
I've always been told that and I guess it's weird because like as performers, it's like we want a little bit of an alias, a little bit more of a character we can like fall into and I'm like, "Me, ugh," and so
Well, that's actually really interesting to explore. Maybe something like I should get you and Gita Gash in touch with each other to talk about because she was really exploring that. And
yeah, it'd be awesome.
the other thing is like the name of this show, Joe Gamel's Rock Goddesses, totally named it that because of Jim Henson's The Muppets. It has the same syllables. And
Oh, wow. I love that.
I was like, and then like when it's like Jim Henson's the storyteller or anything that's like Jim Henson-y, it's like a totally new and different project, but there's like a standard that you can expect from it. So I was like, I'm just gonna be my own Jim Henson. Like I could be Jim Henson.
That's so cool. Yes, you're doing it. It's
I could be a Muppet.
like I mean, you're doing something really cool and special here and I have a feeling it's just the beginning. So
Oh, thank you. I got hope. Miracles happen. So, where can we listen to your music and how can we follow what you do?
Obviously my social media page, Angel and Black Leather. I One of my biggest goals of 2024 is like posting more and actually utilizing the platform to kind of be like my own free agent for my solo project. Um but for the Crossheart stuff, we're on Bandcamp and Spotify, of course. You can catch the music video and the lyric video on YouTube if you just search those. Um, The rock pop stuff will be probably on all streaming platforms. Because why not? Opinions aside of that part of the industry, I guess why not, right? But yeah, I would say that through social media pages, personal ones. I'm debating on making one for just the solo project stuff. I'm not entirely sure. So, but definitely through those two.
Well, I have like a little like
Hmm.
penchant right now for heavy metal band websites because they're always like um I don't know, unique and distinctive to themselves, and
Yeah.
it's an old school kind of thing, and it's like, okay, it's not like an 80s thing and it's not a 70s thing, but in a way it is kind of retro. And
Well, yeah.
right? And so I kind of, and like you can obviously also, if you own your website, you can't be deplatformed. And like you can have like all of your other links for everything else there that, like, if you post on Instagram, it can be automatically uploaded to your website anyway. So I'm
Oh.
sure that if you built a website for Carlee Jackson solo project, it would be a little world unto itself.
I'm glad that you said that because I thought about doing that too. And my exact thought was like, I don't even know how like metrics would work with it. So I'm glad that you said that because it's kind of like, okay, so maybe I'm not crazy for thinking I should do that. So
No, it would be so cool to see like all the rock goddesses have like really rad, kind of like the MySpace era when we coded all of our own stuff and it was like very finely tuned to
yeah.
ourselves. So like to bring that back as websites. I mean, plus like it's like the one place that your fans can go and look at what you're doing without a bunch of ads in their eyeballs.
Yeah. That's a great idea, Joe. That's awesome.
Do it. Are you ready to play the game? You know how to play?
Yeah, I like pick.
One of two vinyl and tell us why. So it's
I'm
this.
trying to
Oh,
I'm gonna have to hold on, let me expand you so I can see.
and I gave you a really hard first round by accident. Sorry.
Can
So,
you can you move one
oh, I'm going to tell you what they are.
to where I can see it? Sorry.
This one's Lynn Hughes, Freeway Gypsy, and then
Okay.
this one is Delaney and Bobby, and the album is called From Delaney to Bobby, Bobby to Delaney. Bobby.
I'm gonna go with the Delaney one only because I have a girlfriend in Chicago who would spin well, she would spin all sorts of records, but she would have a very, very retro night at this really awesome biker bar that was called Three Aces, and she would play that record all the time, and I loved it.
Oh, that is so amazing.
Yeah.
You are the first person that I put this record in this game for, and I thought it was a long shot that you would know it because I don't know anyone else who knows it. And that lady can sing,
Oh yeah.
Her gospel influence is strong. And she's
Yeah.
that like there's this one song on this album where she does this whistle note, and I'm like, where are our whistle notes these days? So cool choice.
I'll keep
Very
that in mind. I'll give you a whistle note somewhere.
Oh my god, I can't wait for that. I'm gonna tell everybody that was mine from me. Okay, Pat Benatar or Bonnie Tyler.
Oh God, that's hard. I'm gonna go. Oh, it's hard. I'm gonna go with Pat Benatar only because I'm way more familiar with her entire discography than I am with Bonnie Tyler. Um, she's a huge influence of mine in my rock pop project. Um, so yeah, and I just love, well, both of their lyrics just really cut you to the bone. Um but just based off of exposure, I'm gonna go with good old Patty B.
Patty
She's got
B.
such a cool backstory as well.
Yeah, I've told the story a little bit on the channel before, so I'm not afraid to repeat myself too much. But yeah, and then she definitely had in the U.S. more hits than Bonnie Tyler had, but
Hmm.
Bonnie Tyler, she worked with some really great songwriters. Love that.
I mean, but if you had to say if you could work with any of Pat Benatar's producers, or any of Bonnie Tyler's producers, I'd probably go with Bonnie Tyler's actually.
I do think that Bonnie Tyler's music is better produced. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like if I could have Pat Benatar's songwriters and Bonnie Tyler's producers, I'd
There
be a
you go.
superstar.
All
That's
right,
what
there
I
you go.
think.
That's a good way to.
Grace Slick or Stevie Nicks?
Oh man. You know what's funny is that I get told that I sound like both of these vocalists a lot. I have a pretty uncanny Stevie Nicks impression in general. I don't. I'm gonna go with Stevie Nicks just because it's Stevie Nicks, but no shade to Grace Slick because she's awesome, and she even did her like kind of like heavier project. I don't know if you've heard that or not. It's really cool. But
Uh
come on, you can't go wrong with Stevie.
yeah, I love Grace Slick and she's kind of metal before there was metal in the way that she sings. And Yeah, and Stevie's just there's just nobody else that sings or writes the way that she does. Ah,
Mm-hmm.
what a rock star.
Definitely.
And okay, so here's another unusual pair. Joan Baez or Mama Cass. Mama Cass, you'll know her from the Mamas and the
Oh,
Papas.
absolutely. I'm gonna go with Joan Baez only because of one thing. So I had a summer where I only listened to, well, I say only, but I mean like I heavily leaned into Joan Baez's album where she does all of the Bob Dylan covers.
Hmm.
And her, I don't know if you've ever heard her cover is of Love is a four-letter word, but it's
Mhm.
so good. So I want to say that because just because I've had very, very intimate and raw emotional moments with those covers that she did. And I understand that she did a lot of covers, but her approach to them were so good. But I mean, like you've picked some hard ones because Mama Cass is like, what a vocalist. Wow.
Right? And also, like, oh, did anybody like ever end up making anything like this album again? Like, she
I don't think so.
is just 60s bubblegum rock. So cool. And yeah, it's totally a one-off. And I mean, the album cover says it all.
Right.
She's in a wicker rocking chair and knee-high white boots. Amazing. But yeah, I love when you have an album that's like an era of your life.
Mm, yeah. She very much did that. I mean, but those were hard choices because they were pretty.
Well, it's not over yet. One more.
Oh,
Marianne Faithfull or Joni Mitchell.
Marianne Faithful.
Okay, and why?
I think while I have like the utmost like reverence and respect for what women were doing in folk music during the time, like especially like the Joni Mitchell, Joan Baez era, um, I never connected to a lot of Joni Mitchell's music. Even though like I didn't not enjoy what I was listening to, I just never was very, very captivated by it. But there are some Marianne Faithful songs um that I've heard randomly over the years and like weird video footage, and she just seems like such a character. She seems so kooky.
I love a kooky woman.
Yeah,
And
she's kooky.
just surround me with the kookiest. So my favorite Marianne Faithfull song is Why'd You Do It?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you know that one in particular, but it's like um it's more of like a spoken piece,
Hmm.
and it's like the perspective of a man who just cheated on his wife and like she's just giving it to him. Like it's a great song.
I'll have to
And
like really check that out one and like really like hone in on the lyric content.
oh, wait, say that again?
I'll have to hone in on the lyric content.
Oh yeah, it's just and the delivery is just spitting it out. It's so like I don't know. It was actually something I really enjoyed running to. Like when I would go for
Wow,
runs.
okay.
Yeah. Just has like so much attitude.
I love that
um
you listen to so much music. That's
I'm
awesome.
I wake up in the morning, I'm like, it's time for music. So then Joni Mitchell, I actually didn't get into Joni. I had a girlfriend in college and she like would just like shit talk Joni Mitchell all the time. So I was like not I didn't get interested in listening to it. But
I do love that song California by her.
Well, so I didn't get into the music, but then I heard a cover of one of her songs, "Carrie" by Diane Davidson, and then I was like,
Mm,
"Oh, this is a really well-written song." So then I
mhm.
went back and I started listening to Joni Mitchell, and I realized she had a lot of great songwriting. It was that her music is so light and airy that
Yeah,
it just didn't appeal to me because I like stuff that's got more spunk. Um, but then when I, but then once I knew that it was light and airy, then there were like moods for light and airy, and I wanted a light and airy kind of sound in the house, and so then it was like right for Joni Mitchell. But it was
I
like
love that.
too bumpy to transition into Joni Mitchell from like Grace Slick, for example.
Two completely different
Yeah,
dynamics.
not the same music.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's it. Thank you so much for coming on the
Thank
show.
you so much. It's
Yeah, I'll
been
talk to you soon.
awesome. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Have a
Bye.
great day.